Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I am your host, Al Richards, and we are here with our special guest today, Sean Bird. Sean, thank you so much, right?
Sean Heaps,
Bird,
yeah.
right?
That's my email. But
oh, that's your email.
That works. It's okay. Now y'all know my email.
There you go. Well, see, this is why I do my best sometimes to leave last names out of it, because I seem to slaughter things all the time. Awesome. Well, we are here with Sean. Sean, thank you so much for being
Absolutely.
here. And today, I love this guy's title. I understood myself only after I destroyed myself. So I am stoked to hear more about this. I mean, I'm already getting goosebumps. Yeah. And I am joined here by my most beautiful friend, Nicole. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a while since you've been here.
It has. I'm excited to be back
here with you. Thank you.
And here with Sean today. Yes. I feel very privileged and honored to be here with you.
Thank you.
And seeing Brad, so I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's This is just, it's great. And I even shared on the last show, I'm just a lucky guy because I get to be surrounded by beautiful women all the time. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. And I'm just not talking about beauty on the outside. I'm talking about beauty on the inside as well. So all our guest co-hosts have just got so much love and such a big heart and so much kindness. And they want to be out there and they want to help other people. And that's, to me, that's true beauty. So
and women supporting women
and women supporting women.
You
Amen.
have the best co-hosts that support each other.
Yes.
When you have more than one woman in your studio.
Yep, that is true. Well, and you've been in here when my wife has said I'm in touch with my feminine side, right? So
yeah,
which is okay. I'm okay with it. So yeah, some of you guys may not think so, but I don't give a crap. But, I'm good with it. Sean, oh my gosh. Our good friend Shalise introduced us.
Amazing.
Love that woman. She is just incredible.
She is. Big light.
Yeah, big light. And just has a lot to share to help other people who have lost children and different things. I just can't imagine going through what she's gone through. Mm-hmm. And to look at life the way that she looks at it. She's definitely helping a lot of other people. Big soul, big heart. That's probably why her and Nicole hit it off so well, because they both got the same kind soul and heart. Oh. Yeah.
Our birthdays are a day apart.
Oh,
so that might have
really?
something to do with it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're both. She is amazing. How did you meet Shalise?
Oh, so we used to work together at Intercontinental Hotels Group. I started there as a reservation agent out of high school, and then worked my way up into a team lead role. And then she started there, and then she ended up on my team, and then she became a manager with me as well, and we shared that journey until we didn't.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's what's neat about doing this show. I say every Thursday is my therapy. I get to come in, I get to be surrounded by so many incredible individuals that I like to say are the most inspirational and spiritual people I've ever been around. And it's so cool, and it's neat to see the relationships, right, that have been built from this show. Nicole has met some really awesome people, and a couple times she's been in here where guests have come in and they know one another, and she's like, I had no idea you were even going to be here. And we've got some friends, my wife and I got some friends where both of them were guests on the show, and the other guy was starting a podcast, and he was in here.
Interesting.
Or no, he was in here on the story, and the gal that I had coming in doing some photography work, now they're boyfriend, girlfriend. So I'm playing Cupid as well.
There you go.
I love
isn't it cool?
Yeah.
It's so flippin' cool. Yeah.
That
where
people
things are
can
going.
come together and connect to each other through something as maybe ugly as addiction or the impact of the addiction. It's not always negative.
Well, what you just said, come together and connect, because connection is the antidote and love is the cure.
There you go. And see, I got goosebumps on that one, because love is the cure. It really is. If people started loving one another, not looking at their appearance,
correct,
look at them as who they are as individuals. I've shared before that if you look when Jesus was first starting to come out and he was gathering his disciples, not one of them were perfect. Right? I mean, all of them had issues, and one was a taxpayer, one was a whore, as considered back in those days, and they were the followers. He picked the imperfect ones to be the perfect ones. right? And that's what's so cool about this show is none of us are perfect by a long run, but society has a way of putting labels on us. And that is also one of the missions that we have here on the show, is to get rid of these damn frickin' labels. Yeah, there are people that are bad out there, definitely, but I believe that there's more good than there is bad. So, Sean, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
About me, where to start? With my title of I understand myself only after I destroyed myself. I say that because as you go through your life trials and tribulations, that's how you grow and become, if you choose to, because everything's a choice. We all make choices, and it can lead us down good or bad. In the beginning, it started good for me. I was married. I had a house in Cottonwood Heights, the cars, the dogs, the white picket fence, a great job at IHG working with Shalice. And that's actually when the demon kind of started, was in that marriage. My mother-in-law had MS, and she had these pick-me-up pills that she described. So when we're doing yard work at our home or going on a big trip, hey, do you guys want a pick-me-up pill? And that's how my addiction started.
Wow.
So it started with Oxycontin 30s. And I would do a half, and then all of a sudden it turned into doing one, and then 1.5 a day, and then 2. It just gets worse and worse. My marriage, though, was also crumbling.
Yeah.
And so that also intensified the reason of my reason of justifying why I need another pick-me-up pill. But soon enough, I started losing everything. We lost our house. We had to move in with my mother-in-law, which was extremely embarrassing because of my pride.
Yeah.
And then my marriage went down the drain, and we called it off, and I moved out, and I basically slept in my car. And then my mom finally allowed me to come live with her. But as she could see my addiction was starting to spiral, that's when I started losing the love and respect of my friends and my family, and even my job. I lost my job. So now I'm out of my parents' house, living in my car, dating somebody just so I can mooch off of them, basically, and have a place to stay. And it spiraled into me finding out one day that my mother-in-law died from her MS. Well, it was devastating. 1, because yes, I was very close to her, but 2, because I lost my supply. That's really what I was upset about at that time, because my mind wasn't normal. And so I had to find another outlet, and that outlet was heroin. And it was cheaper, and somebody that doesn't really work, I had to find a hustle.
Yeah.
And so it was quite a roller coaster, and that's just the beginning. I mean, from starting the heroin, we can fast forward a little bit. I became homeless, and I was homeless in Salt Lake for about 2 years. My area was like 13th South and Main Street, the old Main Street Motel, the Wasatch Inn, the big field next to it. I was lucky if I got to stay in one of those motels once a month, every other week. Sometimes you had to do things that you weren't really proud of to be able to do that. So it comes back to those trials and tribulations. Once you get to the point when you're ready to recalibrate your moral compass and become a better version of yourself, then you start to appreciate those trials and tribulations because it made you stronger. But it took me a long time to learn that. After being homeless here, I tried really hard to get back on my feet. I did 30-day, 60-day, 90-day programs, and they don't work. And I finally just reverted back to what I knew best, and that was using and hitting the tinfoil. And I did get a job at another call center as a team lead. I was still using, but I was a closet user. I met an individual at that location where I was working, and he became my partner, and eventually we fled to LA. And the reason for I say fled is because I become wanted for my choices and decisions that I made. Because when I was on the streets, I would bounce in and out of jobs, and I started becoming really good at my hustle, which was finding jobs that I knew I was good at, lying and stealing from them, and basically taking from them. So if that means being a manager where I know there's a vault and a safe or a cash register, or I would apply and I would be there for maybe a month and then bounce. And so eventually that caught up with me, and I had felonies over my head, and I went through the revolving door, in and out of jail, 30-day, 60-day, in and out of jail, because that's what it is. It's a revolving door unless you choose to change.
Yeah, it's that hamster wheel that we keep getting on. I've shared in other episodes that even for us on the other side, I would get on that hamster wheel with my wife, and it's also that guilt and the shame of knowing that, because like you said, 30 days in rehab, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, and then she'd be out, and sometimes she'd be okay for a little while, and then she'd go right back in it, and then once she got into it, then she'd sober up a little bit, and then she'd feel guilty because of all the crap that she did to me, and then of course when you're feeling guilty, you want to numb that pain, and then you jump right back on. It's just a continuous.
It really is. And
really,
I love what you said about feeling that guilt, how she was feeling guilty, because it's true, we do.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk about in my story and in the book that I'm writing with focusing on behaviors and not necessarily just the drug. Because, yeah, you can stop the drug, you can go to rehab, and a lot of the rehabs just focus on the drugs and your triggers, but release the behavior. Because in that time of 5, 6, 7 years of whatever it was for you doing your poison, you're not going to change that in 30 days if you've been doing it for 7 years.
Yeah.
So you've got a change of, stop being a liar, stop being a thief, stop deceiving, be honest, and have integrity and do the right thing even when no one's watching.
Rebuilding your whole, really, you're rebuilding a whole new you, right?
Exactly. 2.0 version.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the things that I have issues with is who has decided that a 30-day program is going to be it, or a 60-day or a 90-day. And it's not the recovery centers. It's the flippin' damn insurance companies. It's like, well, I'm only going to pay for this much. And then after that,
you got to get kicked out.
You got to get kicked out because, my wife needed more time in a recovery center, but the insurance said, no, thank you. Why the hell are we leaving it up to insurance companies to decide what happens with us? This is, and that's it. It's the frickin' money. And I'm tired of the greed and somebody else deciding what they think's best for somebody, because it's an ongoing, for people that we've had on the show, including my wife is 19 months sober now. Nice. And it's ongoing therapy for her, and it's ongoing for me as well, because I'm still learning things, and I will never understand fully what she's gone through because I've not walked in those shoes. Right. But I do get to learn a little bit more. But now that I'm in this realm of addiction in a different sense and on the other side, I've got to learn a little bit more, and something has to change. Something really has to change, because I tell you what, we've been doing the same shit for how many years, and has it helped? It hasn't helped nothing.
Nope.
Really. And there's people, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'd like you to touch base on it, but I know there are people out there who want frickin' help. They're tired of living in that life. They want to get out of it. But because they don't have insurance, or because they don't have the support, how the hell are they supposed to do that? There needs to be something different out there.
I agree. And that was the problem that I had is, well, okay, I'll go to rehab, but wait, it costs money.
Yeah.
And I don't have money. And if I did, it's going to something else, because obviously it's not going to be enough to get me through rehab, even a day. It is a problem. And society, as you say, something needs to change. Well, change starts with you, and that starts with everyone in society. Because if we keep using the government and the insurance as our funding for these programs just to get kicked out in 30, 60, 90 days, it's not going to work. But yet society wants to complain about the homeless guy on the side of the street, or the person sleeping underneath, next to my store, or, well, that wouldn't happen if we were to come together as a community and make change happen.
Yeah. So. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Sean, because, my wife has been looking for jobs, and she has one now, just a part-time, which we're very, very grateful for. But I don't know how many jobs here in the last few months. Matter of fact, she just had a call Tuesday, and a company said, we want you. We love what you have as far as experience, accounts payable. And she told them right up front what she has on her record, and they says, oh, we don't think it'll be a problem, but we'll double check. Well, guess what? They called her yesterday, and they says, yeah, can't take you because of your background. And even though it was a couple years ago, can't take it. So now, like you said, society goes downtown, and I'm just as guilty. I'm not saying I'm innocent, because I've gone downtown and seen the homeless and the addicts and going, why don't you get your shit together and give to society, do something, not understanding like I do now. So we want to get them off the streets. You get those that finally say, you know what, I'm going to change my life, and they do everything they can to change their life, but then society doesn't give them that opportunity, so they go right back to what they know. And like my wife, she lapsed one day because she's like, I'm worthless. No one gives a shit. This is how I'm always going to be looked at. So she decided to hit the bottle again for one day, and then she realized, wait a minute, what am I doing? But we don't give that opportunity. If we want people to get off the streets and get off the drugs and the alcohol or the porn or the eating, there's so many different types of addiction, and it affects our brain the exact same way. Then let's change it, damn it. Give these people an opportunity. I work for a company right now that everybody that is employed under this gentleman that I work for, except for myself, are all recovered addicts. Matter of fact, one of them graduates from sober living today. He gets to go home after today. Great. And I work with him a lot, and I was telling him yesterday, dude, man, congratulations. Frickin' year of this, man. Way to go. Yeah. That's a huge accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And this gentleman has hired him to give him this opportunity. He's given him a work truck, has a work truck, all these tools. I mean, the guy could go pawn these tools and go have a heyday with drugs if he wanted to, but he's choosing to have another, and he's been given that opportunity. And to know that person is trusting him,
that's big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And I think the rest of society needs to do the same thing. Yeah, if it doesn't work out, there could be some bad things that happen, because it's tough. But
we don't know until we try.
That's exactly right.
So for sure.
And with addicts, I know being of service to your community is a huge part of being in recovery, and creating environments where people can go for support. So I love seeing addicts who are in recovery and then going downtown and doing work for people that are currently on the streets, right? Because once you can go there and share your story and where you're at now and give them that light at the end of the tunnel, because it's like, I think of the giants and the smalls, and reaching back and grabbing someone. There's a book that our friend wrote, and it just says that, when you find a giant, you find a mentor, somebody that's done what you want to do, and that person reaches back and pulls you up onto their shoulders so that, they can, this person, this small, and I don't want to say that they're smalls, but in the book they're smalls, but like getting up on the shoulders of a giant, like you can't see from where you're at when you're in the depths, in the trenches. So if you have a giant like Sean that goes downtown to that area that you were in and says, hey man, get on my shoulders, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to show you what's possible for you in your life. But again, it takes being in action and having the courage and the strength to actually go up to someone on the streets, right? And a lot of addicts, when you talk to them, they say, well, I'm different. They're always like, my situation is different. I'm different. Maybe it worked for you, but it's not going to work for me, right? So, and that's where someone like me going down there, I have struggled with eating disorders, things like that, but not. So it's like me going up to someone at that corner and saying, hey man, this is what's possible. And they're like, really? What do you have to offer me? But your story and what you've done, you can actually say, no, I see this corner right here. This used to be my corner. I ran this corner, and
look where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And I love the little giant, or the little and big giant thing. It's basically, it's an each one teach one. And what the beauty of that though is, you're only helping yourself when you're helping others. And so when you're giving somebody else strength and courage and fuel, you're also strengthening yourself, because you're providing it back, you're giving it back, because you can't keep it unless you give it away. And so I love that book, and it's very true. And it's speaking of the corner and people approaching you, that is something that I'm very prideful nowadays. Is me and my partner, we like to go rollerblading at Liberty Park on 13th South.
Yeah.
And he'll get the bag ready, and he'll come out to me and say, "Hey, you ready?" And he goes, "Babe, it's just you and I. Why are there 15, 25 sandwiches?" I'm like, "Well, because we're going to hand out bags." And on the bag awesome. I put, "I believe in you because I once was you." And I give him a bag with a sandwich and fruit and water. And we do that at least
anytime. How cool is that?
So it's and then you jump into those conversations and you learn about what got them to where they're at now. So you can have that compassion, because I know for me, I think you were talking about it a little earlier, is with your wife, you stop trying because you feel like you're a failure. And that's where I got to. When I was homeless in LA, I felt like a failure because if I try, I'm just going to disappoint people again. So why continue disappointing?
Yeah.
And just continue failing? I might as well just stay where I'm at. So you give up on that. So to know that you have someone that believes in you and somebody that's rooting for you, that is very important in recovery, to know that you have that support.
Yeah.
So,
well, and people even on the other side who are giving that support, I made the same mistake for years over and over. I kept trying different things. I would cry. I would get on my knees and beg. I would get mad. I would kick her out. I mean, I tried so many things, and I did the same things over and over and over and over, and with the same result. But we also have to be careful to protect ourselves as well, because I got drugged down that same rabbit hole. It took me to a dark place, and Nicole knows my story, where my mind was going. But also at the same time, it felt good knowing, once I understood things a little bit better, that support that I could give my wife, because I used to say a lot of mean things to her. I mean, I wasn't no frickin' innocent, and I was the one, that was playing just like her. She played the victim card, which most addicts do. I was playing the victim card too. Everything that was going on in our life, in my life, was her fault. And until one day I woke up and realized, and we're getting ready to do this summit, and we did this videotape, and I was being interviewed, and one of the things that I said is I had to learn how to forgive myself before I could forgive her. That's on the other side. So if I could show her that I could forgive her for all the crap that we went through, it made it a lot easier for her to go, oh, I need to work on forgiving myself for all the crap I put him through.
Very true. That's very true.
Yeah. So it takes both of us, right? We all need support from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons for doing this show. Is to let people know there's other support, and also to help people understand what people like yourself have gone through with the addiction, because just addiction doesn't discriminate. A lot of people think it comes from people who lived a poor life or whatever. Man, it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, middle class, black, white, brown. Doesn't matter what religion you come from. Doesn't matter if you come from a loving family or an abusive family. It affects everybody.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. And to touch on what you were saying with the support and having to love yourself first, and that there can also be the other side of the spectrum of being in a relationship because you're wanting to get that support, but it may be unhealthy support that you're getting.
Yeah.
Because when I fled to LA with my partner that I had met here to run from the law, and we lived in LA for 2 years, and I would say a year and a half of that I was on the streets, and in and out with where he was living, and it was very narcissistic and unhealthy, and it wasn't the support that I truly needed. And I'll never forget, at the end of that 2 years, I woke up before he did. I went to the 7-Eleven, got a Greyhound bus ticket, and was packing my bag. He wakes up and says, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm getting on a Greyhound, and I'm going back to Salt Lake, and I'm going alone." And he says, "Well, no one's going to love you like I do, not even your family." And I said, "All I need to do is love myself."
Wow.
And I walked out that door and never looked back. And I came to Salt Lake, walked my butt up that Salt Lake County jail ramp, went into visiting, and says, "I'm here to turn myself in." And I did my time, which was about a year. And I did the CATS program, which was great. It was great tools. What was more rewarding, and I jumped ahead a little bit.
It's all right.
Before that, I had during one of my lapses when I was homeless in Salt Lake, I thought I had one of those peripheral moments where I thought, I'm going to get back together again. I'm going to do this. I can do it, even though my family won't talk to me. I went to the DI, got some type of outfit I could get to look presentable for interviews, and I walked into the old Armstrong Mansion on 7th East and 1st South, thinking it was a bed and breakfast hotel, because hospitality is what I've done for 17 years. And great, I'm going to go in, ask for an application, and possibly an interview. I walk in and come to find out it's not a hotel anymore. And the lady at the desk, her name was Lola, she says, this is actually the Other Side Academy. It's a 2-year re-educational facility for those with substance abuse and prison background, the most chronically homeless. And this is where I had to be honest with myself. And I said, well, not only am I looking for a job, I'm a heroin addict. And they said, have a seat on the bench. And it saved my life. I didn't stay the full 2 years. It was only 6 months because they're not a medical facility, and I was bulimic as well. And so I had to go, and I understood. I understand it wasn't anything that I had messed up with drugs or anything, because if I would have stayed, I wouldn't have relapsed again. It wasn't there long enough. But I understand the medical stuff. They have to protect themselves. So surely enough, I left, and I went to my sister's, and I would say 2 weeks, I was back onto what I knew best, because I was very hurt because they held such a big place in my heart, and I wanted to get rid of that hurt, and I wasn't really there long enough to learn how to not let that affect me.
How to deal with it.
So I became that heroin addict. So now bouncing forward to the gel, yes, I did the CATS program, but what helped me through my time was I was sitting there about a week in, and sitting in my cell, and I just said, I can do this. I can do this. I came here for a reason. I turned myself in for a reason. I'm wanting to change things within myself. And I have the tools to do this because I went to an amazing program, the Other Side Academy, that taught me the fundamental tools of how to gain and see success within yourself. So, and one of the things that they say at the other side is act as if. And so that's what I did. I acted as if I was at the other side. I acted as if I had integrity. I acted as if I was honest until I became that person and I wasn't acting anymore. And so when I got out of jail, I felt like that 2.0 version of myself because I utilized all those tools that were given to me. This is, 4 years, 2.5, 3 years later. So they held and stuck with me that for that long for me to bring them back up and use them again. And that's what got me through. And
Wow.
I continued being that person moving forward. And yeah.
That's crazy, because do you recognize that man in the middle of that poster?
Dave DeRocher.
Mr. Dave DeRocher, yeah. I had the privilege and honor to speak to all the clients or students there last December, and just it's a great facility. And I went through a couple of their exercises. They put me through a couple of their exercises. And,
Do a game night?
Oh, the circle. What they were accusing me of and say it to me, I had beads of sweat
I'm sure you
forming
did.
up on my forehead, and I'm like, I didn't even do any of this shit. Holy crap! Because they asked me, do you want the G-rated or the X-rated? I'm like, well, do it whatever you do with your toughest students, and they gave me the X-rated.
And what's beauty about that?
Oh my gosh!
It pushes you to gain and accept humility.
Yeah.
You have to embrace humility, and it helps with that type of game, because you have to sit in your seat while everyone's looking at you, and your friend next to you saying, you know what, you're right, he does do that, you do that. So now you have people agreeing of the flaws that are inside of you that you don't see but everyone else does. So you go to bed and you think about it, and if it applies, then you fix it. If it doesn't apply, you let it fly. But believe me, if it applies and you let it fly, you'll get gamed on it again.
Oh, they hold you accountable.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, they hold you accountable.
We need more programs like that, absolutely. Yeah. And now the Other Side Village.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We went to the ribbon cutting for their building there, just
100
west of it, just right
by
next
that
door.
Water park. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the one just right next door to the old mansion.
Oh,
we
yes.
went to that
the old
ribbon
folks'
cutting.
home.
Beautiful facility inside. It's just amazing, and I love the concept because they build it off the concept of Delancey Street from California, and I just like it We have some others. So like Matter Behavioral, they're one of our platinum sponsors, and they dig deep into the self as well. It's not really much of like the big book
Drugs
type stuff like that. It's getting to who you are inside and get whatever is in there, the demons, and getting them out.
Yeah.
And like you just said, Sean, more facilities need to do that because they are not state funded and they are not insurance funded.
And they're free.
They're free, and they have a way of making it work. And I believe, this is just my belief, folks, we get rid of the frickin' insurance companies and the state funding and help these recovery centers that are doing it on their own. I think we would see a higher rate of recovery than we are right now.
Absolutely. And a higher success rate within the community as well.
Yes.
I mean, the community just from first south down to fourth, I mean, it's all changed. And the neighbors, if you would have talked to them when they heard it was coming in, they were kind of like, oh, we don't want that in our neighborhood. But now they're saying we don't want our neighborhood without this.
Yeah.
And so
when my wife and I was at the ribbon cutting, do you know Robin Sims as well?
yes.
Yes, sweetheart. We've had her husband on on the show, but they were talking about when the riots broke out downtown.
Yes.
And Mike Brown, the chief of police for Salt Lake City, was getting up and speaking, and he was talking about that they had a station set up, headquarters set up when the riots was going on downtown, and it was raining. And Dave and some people came out to go help the police with a lot of this stuff. And he said that some of his officers actually was talking to people that they threw in jail, busted them for drugs and alcohol and, you know, breaking and entering, whatever it may be. And they remembered these officers, and these students, these clients went up and said, thank you for doing what you did, because if it wasn't for you doing that to me, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm at right now. And now they were helping the police right side by side,
And eating lunch
doing
with
what they
them.
could to help them.
Yeah.
You know, bringing water out to them or whatever they could to help them get comfortable, because it was a rainy night and it was cool outside. And I thought that was one of the coolest things, because, again, society looks at people who battle the addiction like they're the lowest on the scum list, basically.
Losers,
That's how they are. And again, I've been guilty of it myself. But now being in the realm of it that I am, I've got to learn a lot more. And like I've shared, I think I even shared at the beginning of this, maybe it was last show, that these people are some of the most inspirational people I've ever been around. And spiritual people.
Very.
You know, and we're not talking religion, we're talking spiritual. And it is so cool. And I know Nicole's into like the spiritual and listening to things and what's being said to you. And I think that is one of the most incredible gifts that people who have battled addiction have gotten as they're getting into recovery, because you see life differently that the rest of us don't see.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's like when you were mentioning how your wife applying for a job, and this has happened to me as well. You get the job, but then all of a sudden you get the retract because of your background. That's exactly what happened. Yep. But with the other side, like these are individuals that are lost, broken, but yet these are individuals that created a moving company that's the #1 in Utah, not just Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Other side, Thrift Boutique on 45th and in
3 of them now? There's 3 of them now.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, I think there's 3.
And then we have the landscape, the building, and these are all businesses that these individuals, that the students put together, and have won the Entrepreneurship Business Award in Utah for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have a fancy piece of paper, and yet you don't want to hire me? Okay, fine. You're going to be sorry.
Yeah. You know, it was funny because after I was downtown and I was meeting with them, they were telling me about their thrift store here off of 4700 and State. And they gave me the gentleman who's running the place, Robert, who was also a guest on our show, you know, who came from LA, the gang life and all that stuff. And I went in there and talked to the guy at the front cash register, and they called him and they took me back, and I sat down with Robert, and he showing me around the store, and we went out on the floor, and he goes, see that guy behind the cash register? And he's probably, I don't know, 15 feet away. And I says, yeah. And he goes, he was known as the biggest thief in Utah, here in Salt Lake, and he's running a cash register. And I'm going, seriously, Robert? He goes, no, seriously. That guy, he says, you'd blink and he'd already have you robbed. He'd steal just like that, you know? Mm-hmm. And he goes, and he's running a cash register. And he goes, that's what our program does. It really gets people understanding what life and where they can actually be. And that's what's cool about that program. And they teach people the respect and the love for everyone. Mm-hmm. For everyone. It doesn't matter who's in there. Everyone loves one another, and they all look at each other with respect and kindness, and it's just so incredible to see. And I believe, well, maybe I shouldn't say I believe. I'm hoping that down the road here we start seeing more of that, because there's people like yourself come off the streets, don't have any money, who want the help. And you can't bullshit them. If you go in there and say, I want the help, they'll know if you really want the help or not. Mm-hmm. Because they've all lived it, right?
Can't bullshit a bullshitter.
No, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. But, yeah, I really hope that down the road it starts happening that way. So these recovery centers, or a lot of people are changing their names now to health-type centers, mm-hmm. that health and mental, that they don't have to rely on the insurance anymore.
Right.
And... you know, because if they've done it, I mean, they're looking at creating other ways mm-hmm. of making money and funding them, and it gives. I don't know if it was for you, so share with this. I'm sure it felt very good on your end that somebody trusted you enough to give you a job. And you're going, oh my gosh, I'm worth something. I'm finally right. I am not this piece of shit like society says I am.
Right.
I'm a human being. I feel good about myself. Mm-hmm. And when you've got a plethora of people telling you how awesome you are, I mean, how could you not go that direction, right?
And it keeps you to continue going.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll remember when I got out of jail and had turned my life around from the tools that I had gained at TOSA, I started as at the Flower Patch as their call center manager. Man, making $13-12 an hour. Not a lot, but to me it was great because I had my own money. I felt appreciated and valued. Mm-hmm. And then as I continued to implement this better version of myself every day, I continued to grow into a stronger version of myself every day. And then I went from that to, being a manager with Education at Work with Microsoft and their IT. And then it went from getting back into hospitality, and I was the GM for the Country Inn and GM for Radisson. As I just feel it's fuel, and you want to just keep going. It's a new addiction, honestly.
Yeah.
And during that, kind of changing the topic a little bit, but during that process of growing and getting back into hospitality, I realized there was something though that was still missing, and that was giving it back and helping others. Yeah, we can always do that as a community, which is why I do the things like going to the park. But I was missing that on a daily basis. And so I made that leap, and I even took a pay cut, which sometimes you have to do, because now I'm the sober living manager for Turning Point, and it's beautiful. And this just barely happened. My first day is Monday, by the way.
Oh, wow. Well, congrats. Yeah, no kidding.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it just keeps getting better. And yeah, sometimes it's not always about the money, but when you're doing the right things come to you. Yeah. That's for sure.
I like that you said that. Let's take this opportunity right here to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back and let's share some more. I really love where the first half of this show's gone. I mean, it's some cool stuff, and it's really cool that you mentioned TOSA. It's neat because this is the first time, other than people who have been through the program and work there, is still there helping, to have someone that has been there, and talk about it. So it's really cool. So guys, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Have you ever been in a car accident? Do you know what to do after being in a car accident? Are the insurance companies going to take care of you? Hi, I'm attorney Rick Heaton with the Law Office of Bobby Udall. I will help you through the process and answer all of these questions. I give every single client my cell phone so they can talk to me whenever they need. Let me deal with the insurance company so you can focus on getting better from your injuries. Call me at 385-330-0226. Again, my cell phone number, 385-330-0226. Don't call the insurance company first. Call attorney Rick Heaton at 385-330-0226.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Other Side of Addiction and our special guest Sean and our lovely co-host Nicole. So guys, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Man, the first part of the show I was really enjoying, and people are probably sick of hearing me saying that because I say that almost on every show, but it's just because they are. I mean, to hear people's stories, it's like one of our guests one time said, I bet a lot of the guests that come on your show, the stories are the same, but they're not. And I'm like, you nailed it, because they're not. And you even mentioned earlier, Sean, how it's your own your individuality. Did I say that right? Because sometimes big words like that are slaughtered.
Did great.
Our 10-year-old granddaughter speaks better English than me, and she's probably smarter than me by a long shot. So we all go through our own journeys, and you have a unique story, and there's probably other people that have kind of gone through what you've gone through, but yet it's their story which is still different, right? To me, it took a lot of guts to come back to Salt Lake, walk up that ramp, which I don't know if it's the same ramp I walked up to go visit my wife when she was in jail, which I said I will never show my face here again. That was one of the most uncomfortable things, to sit in that little room and watch my wife come in a frickin' jumpsuit. And I was just eyes filled with tears, and I'm like, babe, you will not see me here again. I know you need the support, but that's something for me I didn't want to do. That's good. But for you to walk in there, give yourself up, tell yourself while you're sitting in jail, this is who I am, and this is who I'm going to be, and I'm going to work on it. Because you said the more you kept telling yourself that, pretty soon you were that person.
Embracing the humility and walking into that jail, you get to a point where it's very important that you take accountability. And it was time for me to be accountable for the destructive lifestyle that I had done, because it was valid. I can't lie about it, because I did those things, and I had to be honest with myself. And once you are able to be honest with yourself for the destructive decisions and choices that you've made, you're able to move forward into making better choices and decisions.
Yeah. And I'm sure there had to be a lot of forgiveness for yourself, right? That's
Absolutely.
One thing that I talk about in my public speaking is the forgiveness.
Choosing to love yourself before you can love anyone else, and forgiving yourself. Agreed.
Yeah. And for you to do what you're doing right now, and Nicole even touched base on it earlier about giving back to society. That's one thing that my wife's working on now. She works with USARA, and she's gotten involved with one of the committees that's there, and they've been planning an event. We did an event at one of the parks. I don't even remember the name. It's where the how do they say that? Where you go to like all the different states in different. It's a park. It's a garden with all the flowers and.
I know what you're talking about.
So anyway, we did an event there, a barbecue. Both my wife and I, Sarah, did the thing in the Pride Parade, and I wish I would have known I was walking. I thought we were doing a booth. I walked that whole damn thing in flip-flops. Holy shit, with my feet sore at the end of, like, why didn't you tell me we were walking? I thought we had a booth or something. She goes, no, we're walking in the parade.
Did you guys sit at a booth?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I walked that whole damn thing in flip-flops. My feet were so sore
imagine.
afterwards. But it was a great experience. Killer experience. And now they're getting ready to plan another barbecue and things like that. But it's cool to see her now getting involved, because it was all, and I'm not tooting my own horn because I'm not discrediting my wife, but, I got involved with a lot of different a lot of different things where I was giving back a lot. I was in Healthy West Jordan. I'd do Share the Magic. I was doing golf tournaments and all this stuff, and Best Buddies, where we worked with a lot with Down syndrome and autistic kids, and I've had to pull away a lot from that because I'm wanting to build this. But to now see my wife do it, I mean, it's rewarding for me, to see her get out there and see this person that she has become, kind of like, I'm sure if you and I just met out on the streets and you told me what you just shared here in the podcast, I'd be looking at you going, no way, no freaking way. But that's how much the people change, I've shared about, I used to have a bad temper, a terrible temper. I went through 6 months of therapy to learn how to control my temper.
Okay.
And people who know me now, they're like, no way. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. If it just little teeny spark set me the wrong way, I don't care who you were, how big you were, whatever. I was either coming at you or I was punching a wall, punching a door, kicking something, throwing something. That's just who I used to be. But I chose, and you talked about choice earlier, to say, I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to be a person that somebody loves and respects, and I want to have my integrity. And that's something I've been working on since 2009 after I lost my job, because I thought I was a pretty good person then. And after, like Nick says, connecting the dots backwards, I realized I wasn't that person that I thought I was.
Right. And there's a lot of that, it comes back to everyone. It's not just the addicts that are wearing these masks and pretending to be these horrible people. It's all of society.
Yep.
But why is it that the addicts are the ones that are looked at and saying, what a loser? No, they're not a loser. They're just acting like a loser because they've lost focus on who they truly can become. Just like the person in society. You have a mask on as well, and you're being a jackass.
Yeah.
And you need to take off the mask and learn how to love.
Yeah.
So it's everyone. It's not just one.
Well, how many people do that on social media?
They
make their life look like it's frickin' incredible. Like, man, you sniff my ass, it smells like roses. Well, really, it's not. And it's just because that's what they're pretending to be. We all have our issues, but it kind of goes back when we interviewed John Bish. He's been going after the Sackler family, who the Sacklers are the ones that invented, or Ed Bish. Sorry, Ed. We were talking about John earlier. So Ed Bish, but he's been going after the Sackler family because they're the ones that invented Oxy. And if you watch the movie Dope Sick, you'll see how all this, and it's created thousands and thousands of heroin addicts because of this. But it just. Even the Sackler family is like, we are not going to blame all these Oxy deaths on the Oxy. We're going to blame it on the addicts. And that's exactly what they did. They blamed it on the flippin' addicts. And society bit it. They took the frickin' bait. Just like they take the bait right now with all the damn shit that's going on in the news that I don't watch. But it's like they take the bait. When are we going to wake up, people, and go, look, this is not really how it is. Let's open our eyes a little bit wider and let's really start looking at things.
Agreed.
Yeah. Having two children with an addict, he was in and out of drug rehab jail. He's still working on it. But I was, my story, being pregnant and with having kids that were born into it. And he went through Davis County Jail, and it was DAT. No, it's the drug addict
Program.
what do they call it when you come out of, I don't remember the name, it's been that long. But it was like having that support there. I was able to tell my kids that your dad is sick, your dad has a disease. And so it wasn't like, oh, my dad is a thief, he is a felon, like all of these things. They've always looked at him as having an illness and being sick. And it's really changed the way that my kids see him. And I don't want to take away from, because a lot of the times addicts do have victims. There are victims that are impacted by their actions. So I don't want to take things away, because if you're a cancer patient, it's not like you're stealing or... So I say that, and I'm sure some people might say, no, they're not sick. But if you can change just that aspect of it and educate people on oxy and what happens chemically in your brain, and get on the medical side of it, then it creates more of an understanding and takes away having it be the addict to blame. With the label. And because the father of my first two children, that was his thing, was oxy. Okay. So like pain medication, but I don't know, I feel like we are starting to shift into more naturopathic ways of healing, or using something like ayahuasca or kambo or these other like frog poison, instead of using the pharmaceutical drugs.
Synthetic.
Because the synthetic, the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies, like they're
in cahoots with one another.
They're working together. And then the government as well. If you want to ruin something, get the government involved, right? So it's like I love the idea of being able to educate people on the chemical side of it, and having them see it as like a science instead of as the individual, the person. Wow,
that's so true. That reminded me of a story of when you say educating, because it is very important to be educated on whatever it may be. I'll never forget when I had come back to LA, or from LA to Salt Lake, and it was the day before going into the jail, because I was here like 3 days prior. Of course, I went through my $200 that was in my pocket just like that, because I was still doing my substance. And I was on 7200 South, and there's a Hart's gas station, and I was sleeping on the corner, and this is in November, by the way. It's snowing in 2018. And I just had a little fleece blanket that I would get under and put under my feet to hold down, and it was frozen the next morning, and all I hear is a tap, and I kind of peek out, and it's a lady, and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I didn't know what to say, and then that's what I told her. I said, "I don't know." And she goes, "Well, don't go anywhere." And she went up to her hotel. Her and her husband, they're in the Army, and they were about to move to Indiana. And she gets a big bag of food and brings it down, and then she's about to leave again, and she stops and turns around, and she goes, "Do you want to talk?" And she goes, "How did you get here? What's your plan?" She started asking questions, and it started to get me to think and to educate her on how I got there, telling bits of my story. And you could just see kind of the mask go down from her, and you could see who she truly was, and she was interested in helping because she became more educated. And that's where she said, "You know what? I don't want you sleeping under a cold blanket tonight. You need a warm bed," because I told her I was turning myself in tomorrow. And so she got me a hotel room on her credit card to sleep in with food. And that way, I mean, I woke up the next morning and I had clarity, because I had food in my belly, a warm bed, and I wish I would have gotten her name, because I don't know it, but she is definitely someone like that played a big part in my success. So
that is thank you for sharing. That is so flippin' cool. It's
that's like the angel on the bus.
That's what I was getting ready to say. The angel on the bus. We had someone else that was on the show, and her daughter, and she got on a bus, and this guy said, "Do you need help?" And she said, "Yeah." And she doesn't know who this guy was. Not even seen him again, and it got her into her recovery. So I believe more like that. I believe that that's God's angel just coming to you, and because it's not a coincidence.
Right.
That's for damn sure.
Mm-mm. And we just need more society to take off their masks and be that angel, because we all have it inside of us. We're just choosing not to use it.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it too is we're afraid, and some it's ego.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is the fear. It really is the fear. I don't know how many times I got calls from complete strangers when I'd kick my wife out, and how she'd end up downtown, I don't frickin' even know, because we live in Sandy.
Oh.
But someone would say, hey, your wife's here downtown and she's like drunk as hell, and she gave me the phone and said call the husband, and and I had to stand my ground, which was so hard for me, because it's like, call the cops, I'm not coming and getting her, because if I bring her home, it's not going to be pretty. And that's a hard thing to do, because I'm her husband. I'm the guy that's supposed to protect her. I'm the guy that's supposed to be there for her. And then here I am. It's the addiction has gotten so bad. It's pushed me away from wanting to be that person. But I had been that person for so many times, and got, like I used to tell her, I says, all you do is kick me in the nuts over and over and over, and I allow it to happen.
Just enabling.
And I'm tired of doing it. Yeah, I was enabling her, and it's time that I finally had to put a stop to it. And it's tough.
It is.
It's tough, because you got people that love you just like we love other people, and it's so hard to push them out of your life when they're struggling with that addiction. It's like I told my wife, I says, as long as you are sober, I'm here with open arms. I'll do whatever I can to help you. But if you're drunk, I cannot have that in my life. You choose. You want to come to me and ask for help sober, I'm here. You know?
That's honestly probably the biggest and most important decision that you could have ever made, and the best thing that you could have ever done for her and her success of sobriety. Because I know I have a similar story with my mom. She had to turn her back on her son and shut the door and not even answer my phone calls. I mean, she was just done. And she had always been that person to enable. Yeah, okay, you can sleep here for a night. Yeah, I'll give you some $5, $10 or whatever.
Yeah. And
finally had to shut that door. And I can only imagine what that's like for a parent and a husband to do. That's hard. But that was one of the things that pushed me to get better. Those trials, and like I say, those trials and tribulations will come back to be success for you if you use them correctly. So thanks for sharing. That's
absolutely. Yeah. I was talking with a gal from Arizona yesterday who found me on A Tribe of Giants, and she reached out to me. She's going to be a guest on our show, but she was talking about that those that don't make it through the addiction. And I've had guests on the show where I've asked, have you had survival remorse? Because one of our friends, Melissa Christopher out of New Mexico, she says everybody that she hung with and did all the same stuff, they're no longer here. She is. It's like, do you have survival remorse? Because you're the only one that's left, and now here you are giving back and things. And this gal that I was talking to yesterday goes, somebody told me this once, Al, and she goes, the ones who lose their battle with addiction, God knows that they're not strong enough to get through it, so he calls them back home so he can use them for something else. But there are ones that he knows that are strong enough, and now he uses them to walk the earth, to be the angels, to help other people. And she had me in tears. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. And she goes, because again, it seems like God and Jesus take the crippled people, the people with the problems, to go out to help other people, right? He uses them because he knows what they've gone through. And the only way, I can't go out and help the people that you help, Sean. I don't have that knowledge. I don't know what it's like. Now, I can talk with somebody who's been on my side. Nicole and I, we can understand one another because we both lived it. We get it.
Yeah.
We can go help other people like Sylvia and other people that are out there, but so it takes these special people like yourself that get out there and go, look, I lived it. I frickin' know it. I think that's why you see most everybody that works in recovery centers, they're all ex-addicts.
Yeah. There's our CEO, our director, all ex-addicts.
Yeah.
And a lot of those rehab places, when they have doctors in white coats and therapists and all that, who are you going to trust? Somebody that's been through it?
Yeah.
Or somebody that's in a fancy piece of paper and a coat?
Yeah. Well, what I love about your story, because with Lori's daughter, and it's her birthday, by the way. I know that it won't be her birthday when this airs, but it's Lori's it's her daughter's birthday.
Happy birthday anyway, right?
Happy birthday.
But she was talking about, it was another addict on the bus that recognized her and saw that she was an addict and went up to her and said, like, you know, do you want help? But with you, what really impacted me about your story is that it was just someone who came up to you and cared enough about you and then asked the questions. And so it wasn't necessarily another addict that impacted and changed your life. It was just someone that you said that was able to let the mask down. So that gives someone like me hope, where normally I'd be like, oh my gosh, well, I don't know what to say to this person. You know what I mean? But I don't have to know. I just have to take the action and have the courage to go over and let that person know that I care.
Because that's important, because we feel like we've lost everything, that no one cares.
Yeah.
So to know that somebody cares is huge.
Yeah, I just think that's a huge message for for this episode, for this show, that you don't have to necessarily have walked the same path. Yeah. But just showing the love and the compassion and the caring can make a huge impact.
I'm glad you brought that up, Nicole.
That's really good.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's very important. So you nailed it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, where are you headed now? I mean, you've shared about, now you're what, two years?
Almost 4.
Almost 4 years now. Congrats.
November 27th of 2018.
Wow.
So yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And you're going out there and, you and your partner are going out to Liberty Park and handing out sandwiches and lunch and things for people, which I'm sure they are extremely grateful. I mean, you may not ever know, but you may have just saved someone's life.
Yeah, and that's it. That's just it.
Yeah.
Like even doing these shows, if it even just helps one person, it makes it all worth it. All worth it. So yeah, I agree. Absolutely. So with what I'm up to, where I'm going, you got to just keep going. And as I always say, you become stronger tomorrow if you continue to go doing the right thing. And so I start my new job on Monday. I just live down the street. We have our own apartment, which is great. My own things, a nice car. Life happens if you're doing right. Yeah. And not to say that when you do right, bad things aren't going to happen, because they will. I mean, as an example, with I lost my dad 3 weeks ago to suicide.
Oh my gosh.
He shot himself. And then 4 days later, the franchise hotel sold off and they let us go. So then losing my job. This all happened within the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But you got to remember to keep going, because if you let it take you down, and I'm not saying you can't cry, because you need to grieve. Grieving is important. You need to go through that stage, and whatever those stages are and they look like for you, you need to do that process. But you've got to keep going, because if you get stuck, then you're letting that demon win. And you've worked so hard to get where you're at. Don't let a bump in the road push you back down to nothing, because you're everything. So
that is such a good point, Sean. I don't know if you saw the post on A Tribe of Giants, and I won't mention her name because I don't know if she'd like to, but she was talking about her daughter who was scared of the storm and was crying and was sad, and she was like, oh, everything's okay, and her daughter said, let me be sad. Mm-hmm. And for such a young girl to say that, so she actually asked her, and I hope I'm getting this all right, but she said, would you like to climb up here on my lap and let me hug you so you can be sad? And she said, yeah. Oh. So she allowed herself, and she allowed her daughter to have that time, because you're going to go through a grieving process with your dad, and then, of course, losing a job shortly after that. This is where I think people have a hard time with. It's okay for us to get upset. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have certain feelings. And I think society has gotten to where we're not allowed to show our feelings. We're not allowed to have these feelings. We're supposed to be hard-nosed, I'm just going to say it, hard-nosed sons of bitches all the time. Well, that's not true. That's why suicide's going up. That's why drug abuse is going up. I mean, it's because society, again, is making us something that we as humans are not. We're not capable of doing it.
Right.
You know,
your emotions are valid.
Yes, they are valid, you know, and we have that right to feel the way that we need to feel. But you nailed it, Sean, when you said, go through what you need to go through, but don't let yourself get stuck there. You know, and that's a conversation even my wife and I have had. So I lost my father in February, and we had a fallout years ago. We never seen each other or spoke to each other for 5.5 years. And last time I saw him, I had to drive to Yuma, and there he is in his deathbed, you know, in a hospital. And they live here, but that's where they went in the winter time.
Yeah.
And it's, I went through something that was going on in my life. I wasn't even really for sure. And about 2 weeks went through, and my wife was like, you know, I'm getting sick of this. I'm getting sick of this silent treatment. We just sit here. You don't speak to me. Blah, blah, blah. And my wife she gets very impatient, you know, and I started getting upset. And I think she was talking with her sponsor, and her sponsor was saying, you need to allow him to let him go through whatever it is he's going through, you know, because I felt like she was pressuring me, because I had no clue what I was going through. I had all kinds of different emotions that was going on, and there were some other things financially that was happening, and we were having some things happening here with the podcast that I'm like, man, there's an opposition that's doing everything they can to frickin' pull the plug on this, you know. And so I was going through all these emotions, and it's okay for us to go through these. You know, it's just like the other day, I told her, I says, whatever she was doing, I said, you just frickin' gave me a trigger. And I started talking about it. She got pissed off at me, and I got pissed, and I says, whoa, wait a minute here. I says, I have every right to have my frickin' triggers just like you get to have your trigger. I've got those feelings, and I've got right to my feelings. And she finally stopped, and she goes, babe, you're right. You're right. You know, don't get pissed off, because you want me to respect your feelings, now respect mine. So like Sean said, have your sad moments, have your mad moments, figure out whatever it is that's going on in your head. But again, the trick is, don't let yourself stay where you're at. Get yourself out of it. Whether, like Andrea was our guest co-host earlier, and she's like, shopping. You know, I'm going shopping. And she's like, matter of fact, we should do an episode because I'm addicted to shopping. You know, well, if that's what makes you feel good. I love going to the gym. That's how I get my frustration. I get up in the morning, I do an early morning workout. You know, on the days that I'm pissed, I get a really damn good workout in, because I'm just letting the frustration out. You know, and some people draw, some people do poetry, some people write, some people get on the phone and just talk with somebody. But yeah, get yourself out of the funk, but allow yourself that time.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. And don't put anybody down because of it. Right?
We're all human. I mean, it could happen. It could be you tomorrow. I mean,
absolutely.
So
yeah, that was a question I was going to ask earlier, and we got in a topic that was really interesting. But when you were offered that Oxycontin, you had no clue where that was going to take you, right? You just didn't take it one day and go, yep, I'm just going to keep taking these because...
It was just a pick-me-up pill. I thought it picks me up and makes me feel good. Ooh, okay, that's great. You know, I'm going to clean the house, I'll do a pick-me-up pill. I'm going to mow the lawn, I'll do a pick-me-up pill.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's going to sleep under the bush. I mean, it happens so quick. So you got to be aware and educated.
Yeah, I love that, because your intention was to clean your house and mow your yard. Your intention wasn't to destroy
my life and the lives that are around me that love. Because not only are we hurting ourselves, we're hurting those that are around us.
Yeah, so. That's why they say it's a family disease, because it really does. It affects all of us.
Sure does.
Yeah, and there's really not a lot of places, unfortunately, for us on the other side that we can go to for support. There's Al-Anon. You know, Al-Anon's not a fit for me. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's not a fit for me. It is for other people. But really, you know, where's the support for us? There's not a lot of places, because if we're talking to somebody that's not going through it, well, they don't understand, just like we don't understand the addiction part. You know, they're usually suggesting or saying you should, which that's a word I've been really working hard on getting out of my
shitting on yourself
vocabulary. Yeah. Quit shitting on yourself. Yeah, and but I've learned too that but is a very negative word. Learned that from Colby. Yeah, okay. So he's like it cancels out. So like if I got in an argument with my wife and say I love you, but what you're doing really pisses me off, he says you just canceled out the I love you part.
So you say I love you and what you're doing is really
yeah, either that or say I don't like what you're doing right now, but I love you, because then you just canceled that out. So that's another thing I've been working on. So try, should, but, and a word that I definitely got out of my vocabulary a long time ago was the hate word. That's one thing. Even if I'm reading a book and that word comes up, I usually will change it.
That's good.
Yeah. But, well, let's stop for another quick commercial break, and then we're going to come right back and we're going to wrap this thing up.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street. Or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped-style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account. And we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from taffytown.com. We offer pre-packaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit taffytown.com, that's taffytown.com, to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to this episode of The Other Side of Addiction and our special guest Sean and our special co-host Nicole. So guys, again, thank you so much for being here. Sean, we've talked a lot. Gosh, all three of us have shared a lot what's gone on in our lives and how Nicole and I can relate on some different things. And also you've shared some really cool stuff about people taking off their masks. There are some really good people out there that really do care, which is great to hear, especially nowadays. You know, stop watching all the negative shit on the news. Just get rid of the news completely and just go out there and be kind and love everyone, because you said it at the beginning. Love conquers all. I mean, it really does.
It really is. Secure.
I don't know how many of my friends, guy friends, lady friends, everywhere, we always say I love you. You know, and we mean it. We're serious about it, that we love you, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know, because love can come in a lot of many different forms. Is there something here around the end of the show that, just something that you can share with our listeners, or maybe something that you haven't had an opportunity to say that you would like to say?
Ooh, gosh, that's hard. I mean, I probably already said it, but okay. I mean, basically, for those that are watching and that have been down and been kicked down and they are still down, don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Just keep pushing. And if you need to fall down again, fall down again. Don't let that make you quit. Stop. Like, don't make that be the reason why you stop trying.
Yeah. Because
you have to fall to be able to succeed. Because if you have never have gone through any of what you're going through right now, you're never going to be able to share that message and save somebody else's life. So that's why our trials and tribulations do help us become a stronger and better version of ourselves. You have to destroy yourself before you can learn who you really are.
Yeah.
And just don't give up. People are out there. There's resources. People will help you. There's a few resources that we've shared today on the show with the Other Side Academy, and it's a free program. That's all I really would, I guess, put out there. I mean, there's so much. I don't want to pause for like 5 minutes and think, but yeah.
Well, what you shared, I think, is a very good message. And for us who are on the other side, one thing that I didn't understand, and my friend Jim Carroll is the one who really opened my eyes on it, and also another friend of mine by the name of Jason who was on the show. But, you know, my wife went through 7 rehabs, in and out of jail, rehabs, detox. I was not giving her credit for any of it. None of it. And my friend Jim and Jason, both really opened my eyes on a lot of that, where they said, at least she never quit trying. And I never thought of it that way, and that's because I was so caught up in the anger and being disgusted in her, and just everything that was happening in her life. Like I said, I was blaming her. I was the victim. She was the addict, I was the victim. But guys, celebrate. Celebrate everything. Jason was on a business trip, pulled up to a bridge, is going to jump off a bridge, commit suicide. Decided to pray. Said a prayer, and the voice in his head said, wait a minute, you've gone 3 days before. And he had a porn addiction from the age of 13, and he's a grown man adult, still 2 decades worth. And he's like, gosh, I went 3 days once, I've gone 7 days once, I went 8 days once. Celebrate the days that don't forget them. So what you just said, very, very important. Celebrate the days, because it will get better as long as you keep trying. And again, I'm just as guilty. Wife would go 30 days because she was in rehab and get out, and within 24 hours she'd be drunk again. Well, even though she was in a rehab, she still had 30 days. Yeah. And I was discrediting. Discrediting? Is that a word? Discrediting?
Yeah, you're good.
That's my big word for the show today, guys.
I think you've had like 2 or 3 today.
I know, isn't it? I know.
If we're being honest.
I'm getting better. I should have my granddaughter here to help me with these large words. But yeah, and I wasn't giving her the credit. So for us who are on the other side, man, give them credit. Because even if it is only 24 hours, they went 24 hours. Because the next time they may go 48 or 72 or a week, 2 weeks. So that's a really good message that you had.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a habit change coach, I can say
New
habits are built by, you want to go to the gym at 5 in the morning. You set the alarm for 5 in the morning. You wake up at 5 in the morning, but you go back to sleep. You celebrate the fact that you woke up at 5 in the morning, even though you didn't get up and go to the gym.
Yeah.
And then the next morning you get up and you put your feet on the floor at 5 a.m. and then you roll over and go back to sleep. But you celebrate that because you got up at 5 in the morning and put your feet on the floor. And then you just little teeny steps every single day. So celebrate. Yeah. Celebrate even the little things.
Agreed.
The baby steps.
The baby steps. They all equal small hinges swing big doors. So those little.
I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Small hinges swing big doors.
Yeah.
That's great.
Just one little thing. We just have to be 1% better than we were yesterday.
That's why you're a habit coach. Yeah. You've been there. You've walked it, right? Now you're out there helping others.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. This man,
this
beautiful human that I'm here with today.
Hold it down.
I think it's
just
cool.
being able to hear your story and how far you've come, and I'm so honored because I see so much of myself on the other side in you, and I'm extremely grateful. So I know that stuff sucks that you've been through it, but at the same time it got you here in this moment with me.
Yes, that's the whole reason I did it.
So it's like I just feel really, really blessed.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll ditto it. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Well, I appreciate you, both of you, having me on here. It was very humbling, and I'll never forget it. So.
Wow. Well, and thank you, Shalise. Thank you so
Shalise,
much
I love you.
for introducing us. And it is crazy that Shalise introduces, and you and Shalise are friends.
You introduced me and Shalise.
I know, right? It's like this. Yeah.
Your wife's addiction got you here.
Yes.
And then we were able to reconnect.
Yeah.
And then Shalise, and now Sean, and so thank you,
Janan,
for your.
Yeah. Well, believe me, Janan takes credit for this, and she deserves it. She deserves the credit, because I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for her addiction. I mean, seriously, I wouldn't be, and filed divorce on her 3 times, canceled it 3 times, and there was a reason. Something kept me here, something kept me with her, and I guess this was the path God wanted me to go down, and and now look what it's turning into.
Saving lives.
Moving into, as Charity puts it, it's turned into a movement.
Yeah.
And so many great relationships are being built from it, and new friendships are being built from it, and that's so flippin' cool. It really is. It is such a cool thing to be a part of. So if I keep talking about it, I'll start tearing up.
You're good.
But my eyes are already starting to get a little
You're
watery.
good.
But yeah, that's because it's such a great feeling and such a great
It's
passion.
important to have community.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, that's for sure. All right, is there anything else you guys would like to share?
I'm good.
Just
Y'all
that I
good?
love you.
No,
Yeah, I
love
love
you guys too.
We love
I
you.
love you.
Yeah, love
And
you guys
we
too.
love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad's gone. We love Brad, even though
love
Brad had to
Brad
leave,
is the
but
best.
we love Sylvia because she came in to run the switchboard. So yeah. Guys, thank you again to all of our special sponsors. We have so many people that believe in what we're doing here and have put their heart and soul out to help us, because a lot of this, if you watch like our first episode and see where we're at today, we've had so many changes, and those changes have happened because of our sponsors. Big thank you to all our listeners, all our supporters, our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health. Thank you for all your love and your kindness. And all our listeners, my gosh, please, when you watch one of our episodes, we ask, please just share it with one person. I'm not asking you to spam it out there to everybody. Just share it with one person and ask them to like and subscribe to our pages, because that really helps us. And you have no idea, by sharing it with one person, whose life you may change, because there's somebody out there, I know for sure there's somebody out there that needs to hear Sean's message today. Mm-hmm. And he said it earlier, if it can save one person's life, everything was worth it.
Absolutely.
Everything was worth it, because that one life is very valuable. So again, thank you everyone. We greatly appreciate it. We love everybody. And again, thanks to Brad and Resilience Talk Network for opening up your arms, allowing us to be in the studio to do this. Guys, remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.